So one question I want to follow up on there is that inflation is really bad right now, right? And as an economist, I'm sure you have opinions about inflation. Now, housing inflation, according to your argument here, seems to be kind of a separate sort of thing from like bread inflation, but on the same time, like I guess my plumber and a nanny or whatever, any laborer who has to live in the city has to pay rent in the city. And so the
Mhm.
cost of that labor is probably affected by some degree by housing affordability. So to what degree is just, and then you pay more for a nanny or a plumber. I'm not an economist. I don't know. You please correct me. To what degree is inflation, um, to what degree is it or is it not driven by the housing crisis?
So I'm going to separate out inflation and stagflation. So inflation, the kind of inflation that the Fed has control over, is driven by increases in demand for something. And increase in demand for something could cause home prices to go up. It could cause the price of bread to go up. And the root cause of that is that there's too much money flowing around in the economy. There's too much demand. If you just want to reduce that, you increase interest rates, reduce the money supply, demand goes down. The other side of that is stagflation, which is driven by a lack of supply. And the primary reason that housing prices are so high is not because there's too much demand, it's because there's not enough supply. And that's not something that the Fed has any control over. The only way to increase supply is to increase the productive capacity of our economy. And that's just a fancy way of saying, like, we need to just stop doing things that hurt us for no reason. Like having single family zoning is just like a very silly policy choice. We all know we shouldn't have it. If we want to improve housing affordability, let's just get rid of it. Or things like having a carbon tax, for example. That's kind of a straightforward thing that a lot of economists agree on. If we did that, then we would get a lot closer to a carbon neutral future, and we could even redistribute the gains of the taxes so it doesn't hurt low income people who tend to consume more carbon relative to their income. So there's a lot of economic solutions that I think most economists agree on that we should just try to figure out a way to do. But I think this goes to my political economy side. I did take a course in political economy at U Chicago when I was a grad student. And the main takeaway from that is that we don't get a lot of these policy solutions that seem straightforward because it's just difficult politically to get people to vote in the interest of everyone instead of their own personal interests. And that can create some like bad policies.
I have one real quick thing. Going back to a word you said. You said stagflation. Could you just define what that is for our audience?
So stagflation is an increase in prices that is caused by a reduction in supply. A big example of this was, actually we can point to an example right now. We're experiencing stagflation from the war in Ukraine. We aren't buying oil from Russia, so we have less supply of oil, and that has caused an increase in gas prices. And the Fed, if they try to raise interest rates, it's not really going to solve that problem. It will reduce the amount of money in the money supply, and people will buy less oil, but they won't there still isn't enough oil for what we would want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, my understanding of the word, I first heard it like referred to from the Carter administration, that traditional macro problem is inflation because economy is growing, but we also have inflation. So good thing and bad thing. And stagflation, I think, is the stag word, is that stagnant plus inflation? Like economy is not growing and you have inflation, so two bads. Is that?
Yes, I think that I never actually thought about where that portmanteau came from, but that makes a lot of sense. Yes, the economy is not growing. It's not that we have too much demand. Demand is a good thing. You just have to make sure it's not too much. But a reduction in supply is overall bad. And then if you reduce demand, then you're making things worse on top of that. And it's like you're getting punched from both sides just to fight inflation.
So the point is you can't use your traditional monetary policy lever of pick a point on the trade-off between growth and inflation to solve stagflation. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, there is no there is no trade-off. It's just worse all around. I mean, inflation is bad in of itself, so you can't let inflation get too bad because of stagflation either. The Fed, like they did during the oil embargo and the issues in the 1980s, they had to raise interest rates then too. So